Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and today I'm going to be doing a Does It Still basketball, right? And of course this shoe, it's a basketball shoe. Michael Jordan hooped in them, so obviously it can basketball. Yes, I do know that. A lot of people got mad at me for, I actually posted like a Does It Still basketball of this on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and like TikTok, and people were like, of course it basketballs, Michael Jordan wore them. Yes, but this shoe came out in 1985, guys. It's a long time ago. That's like, what, almost 40 years ago? So I just wanted to see if it's still basketballs and like, does it basketball well comparing it to modern shoes? You know what I mean? So, I mean, they used to play in like Chucks, and no one wants to play in Chucks. Who plays in Chucks? You know what I mean? I don't want my feet to explode and die. So, yeah, right? So anyways, let's see if it's still basketballs. I mean, if you are hooping in Jordan 1s, you are an OG, because that's kind of crazy. Yeah, also a lot of people got mad that I was hooping in Jordan 1s, because it's like, it's not a basketball shoe, they were saying, but it is a hoop shoe originally, right? And now it's kind of more like fashion, you kind of wear it out. But anyways, if you guys do want to get it, you guys can probably get it on like eBay, you know, or Goat or StockX or whatever. And I guess affiliate links will be down in the description box. This is the Game Royal colorway, I believe. But let's get started off with the Tracciones, and this is the iconic outsole, the Jordan 1 outsole. We have a pivot circle where the ball of your foot is. It says Nike here in the midfoot. And the traction is actually really good. That's the one thing I really like about the Jordan 1. You know, there's a nice loud high-pitched squeak as well, which is weird. What the rubber, I mean, okay, so this is also what confirms my theory, you know what I mean? So my theory being the outsole performance or the traction performance is largely determined by the rubber compound, because there's no way this is a good rubber like pattern or outsole pattern, you know what I mean? Like this, you wouldn't expect this to be a good bite, you know what I mean? So just like, I have a few Jordan 1 colorways and they all have really good bites and really loud squeaks. So rubber compound, I feel like, is the like most important thing in like outsole performance, you know what I mean? So also, if you think about it, translucent and solid rubber outsoles can perform differently, and it's the exact same pattern. Either way, the Jordan 1 really nice. If you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna have some really good stops. If you're playing on a dusty court, it picks up a little bit of dust, but still it's a super easy wipe and you're good to go on dust as well, which is kind of crazy. 40 years ago, they still had really good traction. If you're playing on an outdoor court as well, you should be good to go. The rubber is super freaking hard. The grooves are pretty damn thick, and not the deepest grooves, but it does seem pretty damn okay for outdoor use. So if you're gonna be playing on an outdoor court, you probably don't have to worry about durability of the outsole. So there is a traction there, which is kind of crazy, right? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition. So this is what old school shoes don't do well, in my personal opinion, heel to toe transition, just because they used to make it like this. Look at this 90 degrees squared off, like edgy kind of shape in the heel, you know what I mean? So, and also this doesn't compress at all, but yeah, super clunky here in the heel. I don't like that. It's not a huge deal. But you know, when I'm running down the court, doing heel dominant strides like most people do when they're running, I just don't like to feel that as much. You know what I mean? It's not a deal breaker or anything. It's just kind of annoying, you know. And then it's also fairly flat as far as the sole shape goes, which I don't like, right? Not a whole lot of curve in the forefoot. It's not terrible like, you know, the Dawn Issue 1, so it's not a crazy terrible slapper, but it's still not the smoothest. But I do like how there's a look at this. Look at how much forefoot flex there is. This will probably make some people mad, I guess. I'm sorry. But yeah, I played in them and it creased them a lot, which is okay. It's a shoe, you know? But anyways, yeah, so there's a lot of forefoot flex. Also a lot of midfoot flex, you know? And that's one thing that I noticed when I was playing it. Like, torsion support was not good. And my arches were hurting. There's not a whole lot of arch support. My foot was hurting. So yeah, heel to toe transition, not the best. And also cushion is terrible, guys. Like, look at it, it's rubber. It's freaking rubber. So I was actually scared, you know, to land. Yeah, like when I was jumping, I would be very careful to land like super softly, just because even if when I was being a little reckless, I did heel strike and that hurt really bad. And also just like landing in the forefoot too hurt my feet really bad. So impact protection is terrible. Court feel is really good though. Court feel, you get really good court feel. So yay for that, woo. But Yeah, that's not very hard to do, you know, and also responsiveness is very good, but there's no compression. It's not soft. There's an air unit here in the heel encapsulated in all this, I think, if I remember correctly, but you don't feel that at all. And also the insole is like, insole's alright, but underneath that, the strobe board is super stiff, you know what I mean? So yeah, I really don't know how old, like the older generation played in these shoes, right? But maybe because of that, their feet were actually stronger, right? Just because, I don't know if you guys watch like Squat University and stuff, but like if you wear like super comfortable shoes with a lot of cushion, it makes your tendons and your feet a little bit weaker, you know, right? If you're walking around all the time in them, right? Versus like a barefoot shoe, like a Vibram or whatever, where if you're walking on the ground and like hard surfaces, it kind of like strengthens your foot a little bit. So maybe that's why they were less injury prone, just because this cushion is so damn terrible. Maybe that's why, I don't know. That's just a theory. But yeah, the cushion is terrible. I think you guys all know that as well. Even if you're just walking around wearing these casually, it's still not it's not comfortable at all, right? So there's that. Moving on to the materials, of course, we got leather, right? And leather, honestly, this isn't bad. Some other leather shoes are like a lot thicker as far as the leather cuts go. I don't know what it is, but like here in the forefoot, it's quite soft and you don't really need to break it in for that long either, which I do like. It's soft here in the forefoot, it conforms to your foot. It's obviously not the thinnest, especially comparing to like mesh, you know, textile, modern materials. But yeah, that's, I mean, basketball shoes have changed over time so much, you know, that they're using mesh. Obviously, they used to use like old school materials like leather, suede, and stuff like that. And also, the cushion changed so damn much too. You know what I mean? Which is, of course, a great thing. If you're playing basketball and you're landing, you want a little bit of cushion for your feet. But I guess the one thing that hasn't really changed is the outsole. It's always been just rubber, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, it's nice. You know, I actually don't really mind it at all here in the Jordan 1. Comparing to other shoes like, I don't know, like the Jordan 8, which is like super thick as far as the leather. There's a lot of padding and stuff. I actually like the Jordan 1 material just because, in my personal opinion, I like to have a very thin, minimal upper, you know, not a whole lot of padding, right? If you look at the tongue also does not have a lot of padding. Of course, this is an iconic tongue. And then here in the ankle area, even though it is a high top, it has very minimal padding too, or I guess like average padding, right? So I do like the overall materials. I mean, Jordan 1 quality, like it's not the best for quality of leather. Here in the Game Royals though, it's actually not that bad in my personal opinion, you know? So there is the materials there. Moving on to the fit. So the fit for me was actually pretty good. I went true to size, and lengthwise is actually pretty good. You know, one thing that I did notice though is that like old school Jordans have a pretty, or actually old school shoes in general, from like what I've tried, is a little bit roomier, right? It's roomier here in the toe box. It is kind of narrow though. So that definitely feels good because I like to have a snug fit, but here in the toe box, it's not as snug, but not terrible, especially compared to like the Jordan 3. The 3 was super roomy for me, which I didn't like. But so the Jordan 1 overall was pretty nice for me as far as the fit goes. And now moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown is freaking amazing. I mean, if you have leather, you're good to go. You know what I mean? So lateral containment, not a whole lot going on as far as lateral cages goes, you know, from like the midsole or whatever, a plastic piece. But this leather material is super supportive, right? So here's the forefoot. Here in the heel, also we have an internal TPU heel counter, it feels like. So lateral containment, I was good to go. Lateral stability, there's no outrigger. It's actually not super wide, but you're very low to the ground here in the forefoot. So lateral stability was also very good for me. It's just crazy good Corky in the forefoot. And ankle support, right? Ankle support, this is a crazy high shoe, right? So if you want a lot of ankle movement restriction, then you get a lot of that. Of course, it's not gonna prevent you from rolling your ankle, but it does help a little bit if you do like, I guess, like that type of feeling. I don't like it. I'd rather play in lows, so that's also another reason why I didn't like playing this. Also, another thing that I didn't like is that this part was pinching, right? This part was pinching like the back of my Achilles a little bit, pushing on it. So that was a little uncomfortable. But you know, ankle support, very, very nice here in the Jordan 1s. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. All right, I think like maybe a little bit heavier than average. It's leather and they're using rubber for the mid. Yeah, 13.3 ounces. Let's check the other pair. 13.12 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier than average. And it's a super responsive shoe. Traction's good. Cushion super responsive. There's no compression. It's not soft, you know. Support's great. So overall, I felt pretty good playing in this shoe. I felt pretty quick as well. It's just I needed to be a little bit careful just because my feet would hurt really bad because the cushion was terrible, you know? Now moving on to the ventilation, terrible. We have ventilation holes here in the toe box, but yeah. No, it doesn't help that much for airflow, and obviously leather is thick. So it is very, very hot playing in the Jordan 1s. Aesthetically, obviously, this is amazing. I love the way the Jordan 1s look, and I feel like everyone would agree with that. So there's the aesthetic. So yeah, does it still basketball? Yeah, surprisingly, you can still basketball in it, but the amount of blisters I got from playing in the Jordan 1, and also how much my feet hurt from the cushion, especially on just not even like hard impacts, but like regular impacts, sucks. You know what I mean? So it's good to see how much basketball, like hoop shoes, have evolved, you know, technology wise, like the cushion, you know what I mean? Like with foams, the development of EVA, polyurethane, and now like they're adding their own blends and making like React or whatever, you know, Formula 23, Zoom, you know? So I do like the improvement in cushion, and also the improvement in material a lot too. I feel like Jordan Brand is going a little bit backwards just because the quality of the materials isn't great, especially with the leno weave, but I would prefer like a mesh or a textile or even a knit material over like leather, just in my personal opinion. I know there's some other people that do like leathers, which is fine, but just in my personal opinion, I like modern materials better as well. So yeah, you can hoop in this. I wouldn't recommend it though because the cushion is just that bad. But if you don't mind that, I guess if you're younger or something, or you got strong ass feet, then you should be good to go here in the Jordan 1s, right? So obviously it still does basketball. How does it compare to modern shoes? Obviously not well. I'd rather play in a lot of modern shoes comparing to the Jordan 1s. Even like not so good modern shoes, I'd rather play in those. Just because Phylon is just way better for impact protection and for my feet than this, whatever the hell, like the rubber, you know? So anyways, that about concludes this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.